What is going on, everyone? Before we get into today's video, I want to give a big shout out to A1 Comics for A1 Wednesday. Don't forget to follow them on Instagram. Their link is in the description below. They have live sales every Wednesday and Friday on the IG. Don't forget to check them out on Twitch every Thursday as well. And of course, they are on the Whatnot app.
I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe some of the controversy that surrounds influencers and selling and all the things that we do here on YouTube and doing, talking about books and, making videos like top 10 spec books to buy now and things like that. And how, people get worried about that behavior. And we kind of are like, you see there the symbiotic relationship. Oh, here people on YouTube talk about a book and then they end up selling on Whatnot. And not to say that they actually sell the book that they talk about, but they are selling on it. And then, Whatnot creates market numbers and Key Collector reports on those things. And then Key Collector puts out that and FOMO is driven and people go to YouTube and we talk about it and we report on it. And then, the cycle and cycle and cycle. So there's this symbiotic relationship. And actually, Brian and Chris, you guys had a little conversation about a little controversial YouTube situation with Key Collector. I had a conversation with Nick from Key Collector. I definitely respect what he does, but maybe you guys can talk a little bit about that. And we don't have to go into the details of what specifically happened with that instance, but it is an interesting thing of like, what responsibility, if there is one, do influencers have in talking about spec books and investment books and comics and things of that nature? Brian, let me start with you.
100%. The most important thing, in my opinion, is transparency, honesty. It's funny that, say nowadays, like, that honesty in comics things, but it's so important. It's so important to be transparent. And then also the other important thing is to be able to say when you're wrong. I mean, we're not always right. And also it's very important to be able to say, hey, my mind can be changed. Change my mind. This is how I feel now. Let's have a conversation about it. Change my mind. Because don't get me wrong, there are bad actors out there. There are real bad actors out there. You get a reputation in this community and it sticks with you if it's real. And those bad actors that are getting away with it now, they're going to falter at some point. And so it always comes down to me is transparency and honesty, and being able to say, hey, let's have a conversation about it and change my mind. Those are the three most important things. And we give a lot of people we try to treat a lot of people like they're the wizards behind the scenes, pulling all the levers and this and that. And most of the time they're working their ass off and they just don't have enough time to do everything. And they don't have enough people to pay to have it done. But again, it goes back to that. Hey, if the community feels this way, come out and talk about it. And that's why these type of programs, these roundtable programs where we all have opinions and we talk about it in a very, the way we're talking about it right now, it's so important. And I would say to Nick, show up more on shows like this. And I'm the same with you. I think we all kind of have a little bit of a relationship with Nick, and we feel like Nick's, Nick, I don't think Nick is that guy doing that thing behind the scenes. I think Nick's just trying to run his app. And same with Dinesh and all these guys. Like, come on these shows, talk about it. It will help you more than it will hurt you.
Yeah. Newbie, talking about spec books and things like that and going on to Whatnot. I know you've done some Whatnot sales. I think everyone here has done some Whatnot sales. Like, how are you handling situations where it's like, if Newbie's giving me a newbie spec of the week, are you very cautious about like, well, I can't sell the spec I talked about because that would be a conflict of interest, so to speak? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, it's actually something that was brought up to me when I had told like friends of mine about the fact that Whatnot was coming to Canada. And they were like, well, you got to be careful because you have a responsibility. And I try to stay away from that because, like Brian said, like I don't want to say I come across as nice because I am a nice guy. And if you've ever seen my shows, like, I'm very honest and upfront. If I don't know, I will say I don't know. Like Ryan knows, and there's no shame in that. I think I'm very honest with things I do spec, but I'm not out here to try to like sucker anybody or anything like that. And again, to Brian's point, like I don't think Nick is trying to do anything terrible. I think he's got a good thing. I would love to see him on more things, more shows and stuff like that. I think my biggest thing was always, if you're going to be a pillar of the community, be in the community, right? Like be around. And I think that was one of the things that hurt that aspect. But yeah, we all do. Like, you know, Chris, Brian, Ryan, you know, Drew, we kind of all have, even you, Swag, like we all have a responsibility when we do our YouTube shows and we're putting our face and we're talking about a book, because we do have people that listen, right? And that's just the reality of it. So we have to be very careful and cautious. But I think all of us, you know, I've talked to all of you guys in private, other shows and things like that, and we're all pretty, you know, straight up. This is who we are, and you know, we're honest. We're not trying to sucker anybody. So,
yeah, Drew,
yes,
are we
sir.
the baddies?
Well, we can be. We can also be the good guys, and you know, shameless self-promotion. My slogan, my whatever it's technically called, is collect responsibly, and this is part of it. It's like, you can go about this hobby the wrong way. You can take advantage of people, whether that's underpaying little old ladies selling their dead relatives collection, or you can just otherwise be a bad person, a bad member of the community, or you can be upfront. You can be honest. You can do things the quote unquote right way. And it's a burden sometimes, because you know, yeah, I'd like to sell some of the things I talk about, but I usually put a decent amount of effort into picking things that aren't currently in my inventory, because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm accused of pumping something up to then go try and profit from it. It's like, if you've watched any of my Whatnot sales, I've only done a couple, but I use them just for like run filler sales. Like, I'm not going to be out there talking or moving spec books and things like that. I use it more as like a branch of the business to move volume and bulk, and I'm still playing with it. But I think to bring Key Collector into the conversation, Key Collector is a tool. So let's say it's a hammer. If it's a hammer, you can use it to build a house, or you can beat somebody to death with it. It's how the wielder of the hammer operates it. So you can use Key Collector to, I'm sorry, was that too hot of a take there? You can use Key Collector to build your collection, enhance your knowledge of the hobby, and it can be a great resource. It's a hell of a lot lighter than an Overstreet, right?
Yeah.
Or you can be the person who is beating down the door of your local comic shop every single Wednesday to go buy all of the brand new hot books that are coming out. You're first in once these new, some hot new alert comes out, diving in the back issue bins, buying all this stuff up and trying to flip it. You know, you can use it the wrong way, or in a not as good way, we should say.
Right.
But I don't know. You know, I'll just finish with great power comes great responsibility.
Swag, I quickly do. E-Man there says the keywords on a spec should be, "This is my opinion, not a fact." And actually, I can totally relate to that, because when I do my spec, that's literally my opening line, and I never try to pressure anybody. I literally have like, it's just built in my mind where I'm like, hey guys, this is my opinion. This is what I'm collecting. This is why. And then I go about it. I think more people just will understand your thought process, because I always try to talk about connecting dots with like stories and characters and things like that. So that's kind of how I do it. But it is important, because if you're going to get on a camera and you have a following and you're going to say, go pick this book up, go pick this one up, this is the Bad Idea Invincible 9.9. I have to give you a reason why, right?
Right.
You know, you can't just be like, hey, go buy this, go buy this, go buy this. Well, why, right? And if you do buy, you know, like Drew said, that's on you. It's responsible buying. So,
I mean, just in one, it was either the last video or 2 videos ago that I put out, I was talking about that because like, I'll say in some of my videos, like, this is a book I think you should consider buying right now. And I'll mention that, like, well, it's usually like while I'm doing some type of unboxing or something like that. And I'll say, you see, I don't say that for every book I have, because like some books I'm not buying because I think it has a good spec value. I bought it because I thought it was was a good price, you know, and that's
Yeah.
a lot of times that's the reason I'm buying that book. Sometimes it's because it's some rare golden age book that I felt I had a good opportunity to pick it up. You know, it's not always because I think that's a book that has some future high ceiling. It's, you know, but sometimes it is. And so I do try to differentiate that when I'm talking about those books.
Yeah. Journal, let me ask you this. I need some advice. Okay. I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel. I'm going to make a video that's, you know, talking about spec books, and I'm going to do a partnership with hotspeccomicbooks.com. Okay. Get your minds out of the gutter. But and I'm going to do something like this. What advice are you going to give me for making my content? How do I approach this in a way that is going to be responsible for a YouTuber? Because I'm trying to pick hot books, but should I name books that I own? But then it's like, maybe I'm going to sell those ones. Or should I name books I don't own? But then it's like, you don't own that book. So why would you hype a book you don't own? Do you even believe what you say? How do I approach something like that?
I mean, this is all of you guys brought up great points. This is such a layered topic, and this is a topic that's very, very important to me for many reasons. We probably all here have, you know, different morals or values, or, you know, especially as content creators and whatnot. But and I'm not saying that if anybody does this, that they're wrong for doing this, but I have very, very strict morals and a code of ethics as a content creator. I have never, ever told anybody to buy a book. I've never even, I've never told anybody to buy a book. I always say, you know, I have my tagline that I say in all my videos where I talk about speculation or any type of investing in comic books. There's a two-way kind of like we're talking about here, symbiotic relationship here. And I think there's responsibilities on both ends. And that's what we need to think about. So I want to first answer your question. Is somebody starting a YouTube channel? My main goal, or my main advice would be yourself, no matter who that is. That's number one. And be genuine with anything that you say. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody being a content creator that is clearly a comic book seller, dealer, flipper, whatever the case may be. I don't care if somebody is like, I'm just going to pull a random book. Thor 256. Man, this is my favorite Thor book. Spore's in it. I don't even know who Spore is, but Spore's hot. Buy it now, $50. Right?
Okay, let me just go to eBay real quick.
Right. No, anyways, I don't care if you pull out random books, and I don't care if you have 50 copies sitting here and you want to pump that book up. As long as everything you're saying to pump that book up is either factual, can be backed up, or you know, like some of you have said, you clearly are transparent about this being your opinion and that you got 50 copies that you want to sell, right? If you're completely transparent, you could go ahead and be a car salesman all you want. There's nothing wrong with that. For me, I just recently started selling comic books just a few months back. My other piece of advice for anybody wanting to be a content creator, especially on YouTube, is that you're going to get to a point, if you get to a point where you have X amount of success, they're going to come knocking with the pitchforks. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you do. You could be Jesus, because look what they did to him, right? It don't matter. They will come at you. As soon as I got a certain amount of viewership, subscribers, whatever, I'm a sellout. Oh, Journos is selling comics now. He's a sellout. And they will pick you apart and gaslight you to such an extreme that you can, that's what gaslighting is. If you dealt with narcissist abuse, they will make you sit there and do a second take at your own morals and ethics. So I'm coming full circle here to make a very important to speak very importantly on this because it's close to me. This circles back around to the responsibility of viewers or collectors or hobbyists. Because as long as you have a social media presence, it doesn't matter if you're a content creator, doesn't matter if you're in front of a camera, or maybe you're just on IG posting your fresh gets. You are influencing somebody, because we know damn well that once one person starts saying something, people can easily pick up the pitchforks when we talk about social media. I believe it is very, very important. I'm going to go back to what Brian was saying. As content creators, we have to be completely transparent with what we do, because there's going to be snaky people out there, unethical people, bad people, whatever you want to call them. This is going to be everywhere we go in life. But too often do I feel that people on the flip side that are a part of this hobby and a part of these online communities jump to picking up pitchforks against content creators or industry players without even going through a mature, proper, respectful channel of communication. And this can be almost more problematic, because if we start creating conspiracy theories, and I'm just going to name it, you know, Comic Tom is pumping and dumping books with Key Collector because they're in cahoots. Here's what I know. Comic Tom, and I haven't watched every single video, so if he has and I haven't watched it, hey, I can't speak to that. I've never seen Comic Tom tell anybody to buy a comic book. Never. You know what I have seen Comic Tom do? I have seen Comic Tom in a Whatnot live sale see a book that he was auctioning off get to some extreme price. He was like, whoa, guys, like, yo, that's on like eBay right now for $200. And it was like they were bidding it for 300 and something. And the sale ended. You know what he did? He went to his boxes and grabbed a stack of books and said, because you pay so much, I'm gonna throw all these in with them, with your purchase. Another thing I know is that Comic Tom, just like probably all of us here, we work really hard to do what we do. And I know for some, it's just a hobby. Maybe you make one video a week like Como, you know, maybe you only make a few a week like Ryan. And hey, maybe you do it for fun, to be a part of a community. Maybe you do it to get a little extra money in your pocket. I started my channel, or really went with my channel, when I got laid off from my job because of COVID. I work 7 days a week. 7 days a week, nonstop. I work at a school, part-time. I do half my days there, teaching kids. I come home, I'm recording a video, I'm editing a video, I'm uploading a video, I'm responding to comments, I'm posting on IG, I'm doing all these things. I go live on Fridays, I do Comic Book Canon on Sundays. This is a job for me. It is a business, and I never lie about that. I never sugarcoat about it. Some people will come here and say, yeah, you know, it's cool if I get 1,000 subscribers and do this. I'm not, but you know, I really don't care about the money aspect. And that's fine. I do. Transparency. But obviously, any good businessman is going to be in a business because he has love for it and he cares about his customers and he builds a culture and he builds ethics, or ethical, you know, foundation to operate on. But the point I'm making is this. It takes one person. And this is how I'm going to show you guys right now how ugly it is. I posted in a comic book forum before we went live. And here's a comment right here. I'll read it to you guys. Get over it, comic YouTube guy. I won't read the rest. And ironically, hours before that, I had somebody coming in my inbox threatening me, like threatening me, like being a gangbanger turfing over comic books on social media. But y'all could bring out the Oni in me because you don't know where I'm from. And just because I like comic books, you don't want to know who I really am, where I grew up, and what I've been about. But that's besides the point. And I'm sorry that I'm being long-winded here, Swaggle in panel. But like I said, this is very important to me. It takes one person to say something about me. And you know what that can do? That can create a gossip chain. You remember the telephone game? To the extent that it comes to where Chris is manipulating the market because he does his, top 10 videos and now he's selling on Whatnot. And you know what that could do? That could get in the way of me putting food on the table for my children. That could get in the way of me being able to pay the bills to keep a roof over my children's head. I am the first person to speak out against things that I disagree with or things that I think might be unethical. I did it with Key Collector. When they were labeling books and I said, this is wrong, I think this is negligent, and I tried to have a conversation with Nick and he was like avoiding me. I'm like, what the hell is going on? This is not right. And I thought I was doing good. But sometimes perception does more damage than intent. Because you know what it did? It brought out the pitchforks. Because I disagree with one thing that Key Collector did. It brought out the pitchforks. Oh, Key Collector's manipulating the market, pitchforks. And I'm like, no. That's not what I'm saying here. And I started seeing personal attacks on Nick. Like, let's do physical harm on a human being. Stop it. So I'll end on this note. And like I said, guys, I apologize for being long-winded. We absolutely, to Drew's, it's cliche, with great power comes great responsibility. We have that responsibility, and it should be a good thing. Us being, and I saw Alex the Comic Hoarder post in the comments, the more information, the better. We're here to deliver information. You guys are spoiled because you can find it anywhere. There's so many people talking about this stuff, and there's apps. All I ask you all, and I beg of you all, because you guys hold a lot of responsibility as well. Stand up for what you believe in. Keep this community healthy and positive and, grounded in what it's supposed to be about. But sometimes, what's that saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. We have to make sure that we're doing our best to have the right conversations and to be productive instead of counterproductive, because it takes all of us. The people that are sitting here in this chat right now are just important to this hobby in how we act in this hobby, how we spend money in this hobby, how we collect. You guys are almost just as important as everyone sitting on this panel right now.